What's up, Nosgoth player? I'm Knastcore, and today I want to give you a quick review or a small guide about the basics of the weapon forge and about I want to talk a bit about the properties of weapon as well as the combination with perks. So let's start it with something simpler. First of all, the forging. With forging you can change weapon properties. Weapon properties are the rechargeable properties you can see right now to give you a small buff, but also on the other hand will give you a small debuff as well. So this is just something of a trade to fit the weapon more to your playstyle, to give you a better weapon fitting, more to a certain situation, to your playstyle, to your character, to your enemies, whatever is an influence to you and your weapon or to your playstyle. So let's start it. So salvaging a weapon or ability in case of the vampires will give you material. Material is necessary to do anything else, and material you will get by simply playing as a drop at the end of the match or as a lock-in bonus on your daily reward. If you have weapons or attacks you don't need, abilities you don't need, you can salvage them, so you have a bit more material here. The next thing is you can enhance them. So if you have, like you can see here, an uncanny weapon, you can upgrade it to an arcane weapon. Also, of course, you can do a standard weapon. You can use a standard weapon and upgrade it to an uncanny weapon. So if we take arcane weapon now, this has two properties, so you can see you can't enhance it anymore, but you can reforge it. Reforging is re-rolling the properties. You can't choose them. This will simply being like random, and also you can just re-roll one property. So as soon as you re-roll one of the properties, the other one will be locked. And another thing is, as you can see, you can't enhance arcane weapon, so you can't get a mystical weapon out of an arcane weapon. So let's take a mystical weapon here. You of course also can recharge. If you need to recharge your weapon, you can do this within the forge. But like I said, reforging is just possible for one property. The other one will be locked. As you can see, the visuals on the mystical weapon are locked as well, because mystical weapons got three properties, but one property is always just a visual one. So this is not affecting your gameplay in any way. So yeah, that's basically it. It's quite expensive, so you should really think about it twice before you reforge. And to help you a bit, to let you know what kind of property combination could be, we will talk about this now. A switch of a button. Here we are. So this is the list I've done with the properties, the rechargeable properties of each weapon. There might be one or two missing right now, but for this particular guide it's not important. I will do another guide where I go into all of them. This is just a quick list I've done of all the properties that I have on my weapons, so maybe I don't have them all, so one or two is missing. What I want to say is there is no perfect property on your weapon, so it all depends on your playstyle, it depends on several situations, it depends on your enemy team, on your own team, if you play solo, if you play a team. There are so many things you have to think about before you have for you personally a perfect property on your weapon. So it's almost impossible to give you the right and the only property you should use. But what I can do is give you a hint about what is a good property, what is a bad property, and give you some examples. Like I said, in another guide I will go deeply into every property itself, but now I'll just give you some quick examples and give you some tips to find the best property fitting to your playstyle. So let's talk about the vampires first. Sorry. There's a good thing like cooldowns. If you play a vampire that depends on his abilities quite a lot, like I would say the summoner for example, having a cooldown, less cooldown, or having a cooldown buff, let's say this way, having a cooldown buff is quite a cool thing. So on the other hand, like I said, it will be a trade, so you have a debuff as well, and I recommend, mostly I would say, minus 2% move speed is okay debuff. Simply because you can you won't move a lot. I will explain this. So you will wall climb a lot, and you will sprint a lot, and if you move around, like the fastest way to move around is always dodge attack for a vampire. So the standard moving, you know, like just using your VASD keys to walk around, this is a situation where you will be 2% slower. So I think this is something you can afford, because you know, you just do it like up on a building when you're looking around for the humans. Otherwise you use your abilities, you sprint, you wall climb, so you really don't move in the essence of move really often. So that's why I would say this is a debuff you can handle. Like I said, I will talk about how to get rid of the debuffs later on in the video, so just do a quick review of a few properties now. Another cool thing, or no, another bad thing, is if you, let's say you have the debuff of minus 5% health, so you have a lower general health pool, but you get the buff of extra damage when you have lower health, like 1/3 lower health. No, if you are below 1/3 health, so this way. A bad combination, because the damage buff will be triggered as soon as you hit 33% health. If you have less health in general, this will trigger later. So you should have as much, you should have as big health pool as possible if you want to have this property, because then the damage buff will trigger earlier. So if you have like this negative and this positive, it's really a useless situation, or a useless combination. So I would recommend to reforge that. And yeah, like I said, just an example. So generally it always depends on your playstyle, but sometimes it depends on what. Sometimes it's a general thing. So let's say it that way. So now, two human examples. A good example for me personally is move and sprint. So having the sprint. I'm talking too much here. Having the sprint debuff and getting the movement buff is something for me personally a cool thing, because moving is you move around a lot as a human while aiming. You know, if you aim, or if you're in a close fight to a vampire and you're dodging, this is a situation where you move. While sprinting, for me personally, most of the time I use sprint to relocate, to regroup, or in generally if you spawn at the beginning of the match, to get in a good position. So I think you can afford arriving in that position like half a second later, while if you move faster in general, you maybe avoid an attack, because while you're aiming, you're moving around faster as you're aiming. So you aim and you shoot and you're moving left, right, and you maybe you dodge an attack because you're moving a bit faster. So this is something I would say. But as you can see, this is just small percentage. So 2% and 3% aren't that minor changes. But that's something with all of the properties. They are all just really tiny changes to your playstyle. What else? For example, a good situational example is fall damage. So if you don't have any sentinel in your enemy team, you should not use reduced fall damage, because you probably won't fall that often. So that's it as an example. Negative example for me personally is this one. So you're getting 5% bigger clip, and you're getting a 10% more ammo capacity. So first things is the ammo capacity. It depends on buff or debuff, of course, here, minus plus, but 10% extra ammo. I personally don't run out of ammo in a fight. At least not as often as I say this would be useful for me. So for me personally, this is gone. You know, you have to think about it. Do you really run out of ammo often? So this will come in handy or will not come in handy if you have it. Another one is the clip size. If you have a small basic clip, like say the Vanguard with 6 clips or the Scout, 5% is not even one single projectile. So this won't be affecting your weapon or your clip at all. So in this case, for me personally, as a Vanguard player, or if I play the Scout, this is a buff that will never trigger. So why having it? You know, this is just a waste of a buff slot. Given another example is like weapon recoil. You know, having less weapon recoil as a buff, but as a trait you get a bigger weapon spread. So with less recoil you aim faster, but with a bigger weapon spread you also, you know, maybe you won't hit because of the weapon spread, even if you aim perfectly. This spread could ruin your shot. So while you're aiming faster, while you're aiming better maybe, with a spread this could be ruined. So this is just two examples, like I said. Next step is like you can get rid of debuffs. You know, we have a trait here. We always get a buff with a plus, and we always get a negative plus or minus as a debuff. To get rid of this, however, you can use your perks. You know, we got perks, one perk you can choose, and there are different perks, and also here are perks that can be very useful and perks that can be less useful. And this, most of the time, it depends on your situation, but there are cases where it's not about situation, where it's just because it's a stupid combination. And let's take this as a bad example. So you increase your maximum health by 5% as a vampire. So let's say you want to get rid of this debuff, minus 5%. You know, you have a positive buff of less cooldown, but you got the negative buff of minus 5% health. You get rid of this debuff by using the perk. But you really just get rid of the debuff. So you don't have, so you have just one buff, that's a weapon property, and you use your perk to get rid of the debuff. But there are other situations where you will be able to keep two buffs and still have no debuff. I will explain it to you, I will show you. Let's take an example. It shouldn't be the best example, but this is a good one in case of having two buffs. So increase wall climb speed by 20%. So let's see if we have a debuff we can get rid of with this. And there we go. We got minus 10% wall climb speed as a debuff. So using the perk will leave us with a buff of plus 10% wall climb speed, while still having the possibility of another property as a buff. So this will end up us having two buffs. We are climbing faster, and we have, let's take it as an example again, and we have lower cooldowns, while having no negative effect. We of course have a less positive effect in case of the perk, but overall I would say this is a really good trait. One more thing, maybe I forgot it in the beginning, is if you re-roll the properties, there's every combination possible. So every positive and negative effect can be put together on a plus-minus basis. Of course, not the same one. You will never have a property like plus 5% health and minus 5% health within one weapon. So of course this is something that won't happen. But overall, yeah, that's the way it is. So. So let's get it all together. So basically, there are cool properties, there are bad properties. In general, it depends on your playstyle. So there's no one that can tell you this is the best property or this is the worst property. There are different tiers of properties, I would say, and I will talk about the property tiers later in another guide. But for now, I just want to give you the basic idea. And so, like I said, it depends on your playstyle. It's not like you can have someone else tell you the perfect properties, because no one knows your playstyle more than you yourself doing. So this is something you have to keep in mind to find the right rechargeable properties for your playstyle. But what you can do in general is watch out. Does this property in combination with the perk really make sense, or do I ruin my own stats with it? You know. And like I said, try to get rid of the debuff by using a perk. This is the best thing you can do to end up with two buffs while don't have a debuff. So this is something cool you can do in certain situations. You know, sometimes it won't help you, and sometimes it's not that much of a debuff. So you can live and play with that debuff if it doesn't affect your playstyle overall. Let's give a stupid example. If you don't sprint at all, you can have less sprint speed. It's okay. Just giving you an example. Anyway, that's for my guide for now. You can download the perk list in the description here, and yeah, leave me in the comments below if I missed any property, so I can complete the list finally. And yeah, be sure to subscribe if you're interested in Nosgoth and having more information of Nosgoth, because there will be more coming in the future, and there should be already a few Nosgoth related videos on my channel here. And yeah, otherwise, thanks for watching, and hope to see you in another video. Goodbye.